The sun was setting behind the tall oak trees at Riverside Park when 8-year-old Maya finished her after-school art class. She loved drawing pictures of flowers and butterflies, and today she had created something special, a colorful drawing of her family that she couldn't wait to show her mom and dad. With her backpack bouncing on her shoulders and her art folder clutched tightly in her small hands, Maya started her usual walk home through the park. Maya always took this path because it was prettier than walking along the busy street. The park had a nice walking trail with benches where people sat to feed the ducks, and there was a playground where she sometimes stopped to swing for a few minutes. Her parents had taught her to stay on the main path and never talk to strangers, but the park felt safe and familiar to her. As Maya walked along the trail, humming her favorite song from school, she noticed the sound of motorcycle engines getting louder behind her. She didn't think much of it at first because people often rode their bikes through the park on nice days like this one. But as the sound got closer, she could tell there were several motorcycles and they seemed to be moving slowly, almost like they were following the same path she was taking. Maya glanced back and saw 5 people on motorcycles, all wearing dark, leather jackets and bandanas. What made her feel a little nervous was that each person had a large dog with them. The dogs weren't on leashes, and they were running alongside the motorcycles, barking loudly. Maya had always been a little scared of big dogs, especially when they were barking like these ones were. She decided to step off the main path to let the motorcycles pass by. There was a small area with some benches near the playground equipment, so Maya walked over there and waited. She thought they would just ride past and she could continue her walk home. But instead of continuing down the path, the motorcycles slowed down even more and started to circle around the area where Maya was standing. Maya felt her heart start to beat faster. She wasn't sure why these people were stopping near her, but something didn't feel right. The dogs were still barking and running around, and now they seemed to be getting closer to where she was standing. Maya took a few steps backward, getting closer to the playground equipment behind her. One of the people on the motorcycles called out something, but Maya couldn't understand what they were saying over the noise of the engines and the barking dogs. She wanted to keep walking home, but now the motorcycles were blocking the path in front of her. Maya looked around and realized she was kind of trapped between the playground equipment behind her and the motorcycles in front of her. The dogs started coming even closer, and Maya could see they were much bigger than she had thought. They looked like the kind of dogs that were meant to protect people or guard things, not the friendly dogs she was used to seeing at the park. Their barking was getting louder and more aggressive, and Maya started to feel really scared. Maya tried to remember what her parents had taught her about staying safe. They had always told her that if she ever felt scared or unsafe, she should try to get to where other people were and ask for help. She looked around the park, hoping to see other families or joggers or dog walkers, but the park seemed strangely empty for this time of day. Usually there were lots of people around during the evening hours. Parents brought their children to play on the swings. Teenagers played basketball on the courts, and older people sat on benches enjoying the nice weather. But today, Maya realized she was pretty much alone in this part of the park with these strangers and their dogs. The people on the motorcycles turned off their engines, but they didn't leave. Instead, they stayed right where they were, and their dogs kept moving around Maya in a circle. Maya felt like the dogs were trying to keep her from going anywhere, almost like they were herding sheep or something. Every time Maya took a step in one direction, one of the dogs would move to block her path. Maya's hand started to shake as she held onto her art folder. The beautiful drawing she had made was still inside, but now all she could think about was getting home safely to her family. She wished her older brother had come to pick her up from art class like he sometimes did, or that her mom had decided to walk with her today. The dogs were getting closer and closer, and their barking was so loud that Maya had to cover her ears. She backed up until she was right against the playground slide and she couldn't go any further. The metal slide felt cold against her back, and Maya realized she was starting to cry. Maya tried to call out for help, but her voice came out as more of a whisper because she was so scared. She cleared her throat and tried again, this time calling out louder. "Help me, please, somebody help me." But her voice seemed to get lost in all the noise from the barking dogs. Some people who had been sitting on benches further away in the park seemed to notice what was happening, but instead of coming over to help, they started gathering up their things and walking in the other direction. Maya couldn't understand why nobody was trying to help her. Maybe they were scared of the dogs too, or maybe they thought this was some kind of game. But Maya knew this wasn't a game. The way the dogs were acting, and the way the people on the motorcycles were just sitting there watching, made her feel like she was in real danger. She had never been so scared in her whole life, not even during the worst thunderstorms or when she had to get shots at the doctor's office. Maya tried to think of what else her parents had taught her about staying safe. They had told her to make as much noise as possible if she ever needed help, so people would notice and come to help her. So Maya took a deep breath and screamed as loud as she could, "Help me! Please, somebody help me! I want to go home!" This time her voice carried further across the park, and Maya hoped that someone somewhere would hear her and know that she needed help. The dogs seemed to get even more excited when she screamed, barking louder and moving around more. Maya felt like they were getting ready to do something, but she didn't know what. Just when Maya thought things couldn't get any scarier, she heard the sound of a car door slamming somewhere nearby. Then she heard another car door, and the sound of footsteps on the gravel path. Maya couldn't see who was coming because the motorcycles and dogs were blocking her view, but she heard deep voices calling out. The voices sounded strong and confident, not scared like Maya felt. She couldn't make out the words yet, but something about hearing those voices made Maya feel just a tiny bit less afraid. Maybe, just maybe, someone was finally coming to help her. Maya pressed herself against the playground slide and tried to make herself as small as possible while she waited to see what would happen next. Her art folder was still clutched in her hands, and she promised herself that if she got home safely, she would never walk through the park alone again. The barking dogs and the sound of approaching footsteps mixed together in the evening air, and Maya closed her eyes tight, hoping that whoever was coming would be able to help her get home safely to her family. As the motorcycle riders finally left the park with their dogs, Maya felt like she could breathe properly for the first time in what felt like hours. Dwayne and John stayed close to her, making sure she felt safe and protected. The other people in the park who had been watching from a distance started coming closer now that the danger was over. An elderly woman with gray hair and a kind face approached them first. "Oh my goodness, sweetheart, are you all right?" she asked Maya, her voice full of concern. "I saw what was happening from my bench over there, and I was so worried about you. I'm so sorry I didn't come over sooner." Maya could see that the woman felt bad about not helping earlier, and she wanted to make her feel better. "It's okay," Maya said softly. "Those dogs were really big and scary. I understand why you were afraid to come over." John smiled at Maya's response. "You're very kind and understanding, Maya. Not everyone would be so forgiving after what you just went through." A jogger in workout clothes jogged up to them, slightly out of breath. "I called park security," he said to Dwayne and John. "They should be here any minute. I also took some pictures of those motorcycle license plates before they left, just in case the police need them later." Dwayne nodded appreciatively. "That was really smart thinking. Thank you for doing that." He turned to Maya. "Maya, we should probably call your parents and let them know what happened. Do you know your mom or dad's phone number?" Maya nodded and recited her mother's cell phone number. John pulled out his phone and dialed the number, putting it on speaker so Maya could talk to her mom directly. "Hello?" came a woman's voice through the phone. "Mom," Maya said, and she couldn't help but start crying again as soon as she heard her mother's familiar voice. "Mom, I'm okay, but something scary happened at the park." "Maya? Baby, what's wrong? Where are you?" Her mother's voice immediately filled with worry and concern. John spoke up. "Ma'am, my name is John, and I'm here with your daughter at Riverside Park. She's completely safe now, but she had a frightening experience with some people and their dogs. She handled herself very bravely, and she's not hurt, but I think she'd like to see you." Maya's mother's voice became urgent. "I'm leaving work right now. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Maya, honey, are you really okay? You're not hurt anywhere?" "I'm not hurt, Mom," Maya said through her tears. "But I was really scared. These two really nice men helped me, and now I'm safe." "Thank you so much for helping my daughter," Maya's mother said to John. "I can't tell you how grateful I am. I'll be right there." After they hung up, Maya noticed that more people had gathered around them. Park security had arrived, along with 2 police officers who wanted to hear about what had happened. Maya felt nervous about talking to the police, but Dwayne stayed right next to her the whole time. "It's okay, Maya," Dwayne said gently. "The police officers just want to make sure you're safe and that nothing like this happens to other kids in the park. You can tell them exactly what happened, just like you told us." Maya took a deep breath and told the police officers about walking home from art class, how the motorcycles had followed her, and how the dogs had surrounded her and wouldn't let her leave. One of the police officers wrote down everything she said in a notebook. "You did a great job remembering all those details, Maya," the police officer said kindly. "That information will help us make sure those people don't scare other children in the park." While Maya was talking to the police, she noticed that several people were using their phones to take pictures and record videos. At first, this made her feel uncomfortable, but John noticed her discomfort and spoke to the crowd. "Folks, I appreciate everyone's concern for Maya's safety, but let's give her some privacy while she talks to the police. She's been through enough stress for one day." Most people put their phones away and stepped back to give Maya more space, though Maya could hear them talking quietly among themselves about what had happened. A few minutes later, Maya saw her mother, running across the park toward them. Her mom looked worried and scared, but also relieved to see Maya standing there safely. Maya ran to her mother and hugged her tightly. "Oh, baby. I was so scared when I got that phone call," her mother said, holding Maya close. "Are you sure you're not hurt? Let me look at you." Maya's mother checked her over carefully, looking for any cuts or bruises, but Maya really was completely unhurt physically. "I'm okay, Mom. I was just really scared. But Dwayne and John came and helped me, and they made the bad people go away." Maya's mother turned to thank Dwayne and John, and Maya could see the exact moment when her mom realized who they were. Her eyes got wide and her mouth opened in surprise. "Oh my goodness," she said quietly. You're really them. The wrestlers. I can't believe. My daughter has been talking about you two for the past hour, and I had no idea who you were." Dwayne smiled warmly. "We just happened to be driving by when we heard Maya calling for help. Any decent person would have done the same thing. Your daughter is very brave and very smart. She did everything right in a scary situation." John nodded in agreement. Maya kept her head, called for help, and stayed as safe as possible until help arrived. "You should be very proud of her." Maya's mother had tears in her eyes as she looked at both men. "I don't know how to thank you enough. I can't imagine what might have happened if you hadn't been there." By now, quite a crowd had gathered in the park. Maya could see people talking excitedly on their phones, and she heard someone say that videos of what had happened were already being shared on social media. The idea that lots of strangers might see videos of her being scared made Maya feel uncomfortable. Dwayne seemed to understand how Maya was feeling. He knelt down and spoke to her quietly. "Maya, some people might want to talk to you about what happened today, like newspaper reporters or people from TV. You don't have to talk to anyone you don't want to talk to, okay? This is your story, and you get to decide who you share it with." Maya nodded, feeling grateful that Dwayne was thinking about her feelings and her privacy. She had never thought about the fact that something scary that happened to her might become news that other people wanted to hear about. John added, "And Maya, if anyone ever tries to make you feel like what happened today was your fault in any way, you remember that it absolutely was not. You were just walking home from art class minding your own business. You did nothing wrong." Maya's mother squeezed her hand. "That's right, baby. You didn't do anything wrong, and I'm so proud of how you handled yourself." One of the police officers came back over to them with some paperwork. "We've got all the information we need for now," he said. "Maya, you were very helpful. We're going to follow up on those license plate numbers and see if we can identify the individuals involved." The park security guard approached them as well. "We're going to increase patrols in this area, especially during the hours when kids are walking home from school and after-school activities. We want to make sure all the families feel safe using the park." Maya felt good knowing that her scary experience might help keep other kids safe in the future. Even though what had happened to her was frightening and unfair, at least something positive might come out of it. As the crowd began to disperse and the official questioning was finished, Maya realized she was exhausted. The fear and stress of the past hour had drained all her energy, and she just wanted to go home with her mom and maybe watch a movie together. Dwayne and John walked with Maya and her mother toward the parking lot. Maya was still carrying her art folder, though it was a little crumpled now from everything that had happened. "What's in the folder, Maya?" John asked, noticing how carefully she was still holding on to it, despite everything else that had been going on. Maya opened the folder and showed them the drawing she had made in art class. It was a picture of her family, her mom, dad, older brother, and herself, all holding hands in front of their house. The drawing was colorful and cheerful, full of hearts and flowers and sunshine. "This is beautiful, Maya," Dwayne said, genuinely impressed. "You're a very talented artist. I bet your family is going to love this drawing." Maya smiled for the first time since the whole ordeal had begun. "I made it to surprise them. I was so excited to show it to them when I got home." "Well," said John, "now you have an even bigger story to tell them when you show them your artwork." Maya's mother put her arm around her daughter's shoulders. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's go home and tell Dad and your brother about your adventure." "And Maya?" "Yes, Mom? Tomorrow I'm driving you to and from art class. We'll figure out a safer way for you to get around the neighborhood." Maya nodded, feeling relieved that she wouldn't have to walk through the park alone again anytime soon. As they reached the parking lot, she turned back to look at Dwayne and John one more time. 3 weeks had passed since that scary day at Riverside Park, and Maya's life had changed in ways she never could have imagined. The story of what happened to her had spread far beyond her small neighborhood, and people from all over the country had heard about the little girl who was helped by 2 famous wrestlers. Maya was sitting in her family's living room, looking through a big box of letters and cards that had arrived in the mail. Her mom sat next to her, helping her read some of the longer messages. Every single letter was from someone who wanted to tell Maya how brave she was and how proud they were of her for staying strong during such a frightening experience. "Look at this one, Maya," her mother said, holding up a colorful card with a drawing of a superhero on the front. "This is from a little boy in Texas who says you inspired him to speak up when some older kids were being mean to him at school." Maya smiled as she looked at the card. It felt strange but wonderful to know that her story had helped other children feel braver. She had never thought of herself as brave before, but everyone kept telling her that she was. Her father walked into the room carrying his laptop computer. "Maya, honey, I have something exciting to show you. Do you remember how Dwayne and John said they wanted to start a program to help keep kids safe?" Maya nodded. After the incident at the park, both Dwayne and John had visited her family at their home. They had brought her gifts and spent time talking with her parents about ways to make neighborhoods safer for children. They had also talked about starting a foundation that would teach kids about staying safe and help communities create better protection for their children. "Well, look at this," her father said, turning the laptop screen toward Maya. On the screen was a website with a big picture of Maya, Dwayne, and John standing together in front of the new community center that had been built near the park. The Echir website was for something called the Safe Kids Foundation, and Maya's picture was right there on the front page with the title, Junior Ambassador Maya Johnson. Maya couldn't believe she was seeing her own face on a real website that people all over the world could look at. "They want you to be the very first junior ambassador for their new foundation," her mother explained. "That means you would help them teach other kids about staying safe, and you would travel to different schools and community centers to share your story." Maya felt excited but also a little nervous. "Would I have to talk in front of lots of people?" Her father sat down next to her and put his arm around her shoulders. "Only if you want to, sweetheart. Dwayne and John made it very clear that this is completely your choice. If you decide you want to help with their foundation, they'll make sure you feel comfortable and supported every step of the way." Maya thought about all the letters from other children who had said her story helped them feel braver. If talking about what happened to her could help other kids stay safe, then maybe it would be worth feeling a little nervous. "Can I think about it for a while?" Maya asked. "Of course," her mother said. "There's no rush to decide. Take as much time as you need." Maya's older brother came into the room, and Maya could tell from his expression that he had something important to tell them. "Mom, Dad, you need to see what's happening at the park right now." The whole family walked outside and got in the car to drive to Riverside Park. When they arrived, Maya couldn't believe what she saw. There were dozens of people working together to install new safety equipment all around the park. Workers were putting up bright new lights along all the walking paths. Other people were installing emergency call boxes that would connect directly to the police station if anyone ever needed help. Maya could see that they were also building new fences around the playground area and adding security cameras that would help keep the park safe at all times. A woman with a clipboard and a hard hat approached their family. "Are you Maya?" she asked with a big smile. "I'm the project manager for all these safety improvements. I wanted to thank you personally for speaking up about what happened here. Your courage helped us understand that this park needed better safety measures." Maya felt proud, but also a little overwhelmed. She had never imagined that one scary experience could lead to so many positive changes for her entire community. As they walked around the park, Maya noticed that many of the workers stopped what they were doing to wave at her or say hello. Some of them had children of their own, and they told Maya that they were working extra hard on this project because they wanted their own kids to be safe when they played in parks. Near the playground, Maya saw a group of children from her school playing on the swings with their parents watching nearby. When the kids saw Maya, they ran over to talk to her. "Maya, we saw you on the news," said a girl from her art class. "You're famous now, and look at all the cool new stuff they're putting in the park because of you." Maya felt happy to see her friends, but she also wanted them to understand something important. "I'm not famous because I wanted to be famous," she explained. "I just got scared and called for help, and some really nice people came to help me. The important thing is that now the park is going to be safer for all of us." One of the boys from her class looked serious. "My mom said that what happened to you was really unfair, and that those people shouldn't have scared you like that." Maya nodded. "It was unfair, and it was scary. But you know what? Sometimes bad things happen, but that doesn't mean we should stop doing the things we love. I still love coming to the park, and I still love taking art classes. The difference is that now I know there are people looking out for me, and the park has better safety things to keep everyone protected." Maya's mother watched proudly as her daughter talked to her friends. She could see that Maya had grown so much in the past few weeks. The little girl who had been so frightened was now helping other children understand how to stay safe and brave. As they continued walking through the park, Maya saw Dwayne and John approaching from the parking lot. They had come to check on the progress of the safety improvements and to visit with Maya and her family. "Maya," Dwayne called out with a big smile. "How are you doing, kiddo? What do you think of all the changes to your park?" Maya ran over to give both men hugs. Over the past few weeks, they had become like honorary family members, checking in on Maya regularly and making sure she was doing well after her frightening experience. "It looks amazing," Maya said, looking around at all the improvements. "I feel so much safer knowing that all these things are here to help people." John knelt down to Maya's eye level. "Maya, we have some news to share with you. Do you remember how we talked about the foundation and how you could help other kids learn about staying safe?" Maya nodded, remembering their conversation from a few days earlier. "Well, we've already had requests from 12 different schools that want you to come and talk to their students. There are also 3 community centers and 2 libraries that want to host safety events with you as the special guest speaker." Maya's eyes widened. She hadn't realized that so many people wanted to hear her story and learn from her experience. Dwayne continued, "But remember, Maya, this is completely up to you. If you decide you want to help with even just one event, that would be amazing. If you decide you'd rather keep your life private and just focus on being a regular kid, that's perfectly okay too." Maya looked at her parents, who both nodded encouragingly. She thought about all the letters she had received from other children, and she remembered how good it felt to help her friends at the park understand how to stay safe and brave. "I think I'd like to try helping with one event," Maya said carefully. "Maybe at a school that's not too far from here, and maybe Mom and Dad could come with me." "Absolutely," John said. "Your parents would be welcome at every event, and we would Make sure you felt completely comfortable and supported. Maya's father put his hand on her shoulder. We're so proud of you, Maya. You've taken something frightening that happened to you and found a way to use it to help other people. That takes real courage and kindness. As the sun began to set over the newly improved park, Maya looked around at all the positive changes that had come from one scary day. The park was safer, her community was more aware of child safety issues, and she had discovered that she could help other kids feel braver and more confident. Maya realized that sometimes the most difficult experiences in life can lead to the most meaningful growth and positive change. She still remembered how scared she had felt that day, but now she also remembered how many good people had come together to help her and to make sure other children would be safer in the future. The little girl who had walked home from art class 3 weeks ago carrying a drawing of her family was still the same person, but she was also someone new. She was Maya Johnson, Junior Ambassador for Child Safety, and she was ready to help make the world a little bit safer and braver for other kids just like her. 6 months had passed since that frightening afternoon at Riverside Park, and Maya's world had transformed in the most incredible ways. She was sitting at her bedroom desk, carefully writing thank you notes to people who had sent her letters and gifts from all across the country. Her desk was covered with colorful cards, small toys, art supplies, and even some homemade cookies that had arrived in the mail that week. Maya's mother peeked into the room and smiled at the sight of her daughter working so diligently on her correspondence. How many thank you notes have you written today, sweetheart? I think this is number 15, Maya said, holding up a card with a drawing of a rainbow that she had made herself. I want to make sure everyone knows how much their kindness means to me. Maya had become quite famous in the months following the park incident, but not in the way that most people become famous. She wasn't on television shows or in movies. Instead, she had become known as the little girl who turned a scary experience into something that helped protect other children all around the country. The Safe Kids Foundation that Dwayne and John had started in Maya's honor had grown much faster than anyone had expected. Schools, community centers, libraries, and even police departments were requesting visits from Maya and the foundation team. Maya had discovered that she actually enjoyed talking to groups of children about staying safe, and she was getting more confident every time she spoke. Maya's father called from downstairs. Maya, honey, can you come down here? We have some visitors. Maya finished writing her current thank you note and headed downstairs, wondering who might be visiting on a Saturday afternoon. When she reached the living room, she was delighted to see Dwayne and John sitting on the couch with her parents, all of them looking excited about something. There's our favorite junior ambassador, Dwayne said with a big grin as Maya entered the room. We have some pretty amazing news to share with you. Maya sat down in her favorite chair and looked expectantly at her two friends. Over the past 6 months, they had become much more than just the people who had helped her that day in the park. They had become genuine friends and mentors who checked on her regularly and supported her work with the foundation. John leaned forward with excitement in his eyes. Maya, do you remember when we talked about maybe expanding the Safe Kids Foundation to help children in other countries too? Maya nodded. They had discussed this idea several times, especially after receiving letters from children in places like Canada, England, and Australia, who had heard about Maya's story and wanted to learn about the safety programs they were creating. Well, Dwayne continued, we just received approval and funding to create Safe Kids Foundation programs in 10 different countries. And Maya, they specifically requested that you be involved in launching these international programs. Maya's eyes grew wide with surprise and excitement. You mean I could help kids in other countries learn about staying safe too? That's exactly what we mean, John said. Of course, we would start slowly. Maybe video calls with schools in other countries, and eventually, if you and your parents are interested, we could arrange some carefully planned trips to visit some of these places. Maya looked at her parents, who were both smiling proudly. Her mother spoke up. We've talked about this possibility, and if you're interested, Maya, we think it could be a wonderful opportunity for you to see the world while helping other children. Maya felt a flutter of excitement in her stomach. The idea of traveling to other countries and meeting children from different cultures while helping them learn about safety sounded like the most amazing adventure she could imagine. Can I think about it for a little while? Maya asked, which had become her standard response to big decisions since the park incident. She had learned that it was okay to take time to consider important choices carefully. Of course, Dwayne said. There's no rush at all. We just wanted you to know about the opportunity. Maya's older brother came into the room carrying his laptop. Hey Maya, you might want to see this. The video from your presentation at Lincoln Elementary School last week is getting shared all over the internet. Maya had spoken to a group of 3rd and 4th graders at a nearby school about staying safe in their neighborhoods. She had told them about her experience at the park, but she had focused most of her talk on practical safety tips and how to get help if they ever felt scared or threatened. Her brother turned the laptop screen toward everyone in the room. The video showed Maya standing confidently in front of a classroom full of children, speaking clearly and calmly about safety strategies. Maya watched herself on the screen and could hardly believe how much she had changed since that frightening day 6 months ago. In the video, Maya was explaining to the students how to identify safe adults they could approach for help, how to make noise to attract attention if they felt threatened, and how to trust their instincts if something didn't feel right. The children in the classroom were listening intently, asking thoughtful questions and clearly taking her advice seriously. Look at the comments, her brother said, scrolling down below the video. There are hundreds of comments from parents and teachers saying how helpful this presentation was for their kids. Maya read some of the comments over her brother's shoulder. Parents were writing about how their children had come home from school, talking about Maya's safety tips and how they felt more confident about handling difficult situations. Teachers were commenting about how Maya's presentation had started important conversations in their classrooms about personal safety and looking out for one another. One comment that particularly touched Maya was from a teacher who wrote, Maya's presentation gave my students permission to trust their feelings and speak up when something doesn't feel right. She showed them that being scared is normal, but staying quiet when you need help is not necessary. Maya felt proud reading these comments, but she also felt a sense of responsibility. She was beginning to understand that her story and her words had real power to help other children, and she wanted to make sure she used that power wisely. Dwayne noticed Maya's thoughtful expression. How are you feeling about all of this, Maya? Sometimes when something you do becomes bigger than you expected, it can feel overwhelming. Maya considered his question carefully. Sometimes it does feel big and overwhelming, she admitted. But mostly it feels good to know that something scary that happened to me is helping other kids feel safer and braver. John nodded understandingly. That's a very mature way to look at it, Maya. And remember, you never have to do more than feels comfortable to you. If you ever want to step back from any of this, that's completely okay. Maya's mother added, we want to make sure that helping other kids doesn't take away from you being able to just be a regular 8-year-old too. You still need time to play and have fun and not worry about being anyone's role model. Maya smiled at her parents' concern. I know, Mom, and I do still have lots of fun. I love my art classes and I love playing with my friends. But I also love knowing that I'm helping other kids. Maya's father pulled out his own phone and showed everyone a text message he had received earlier that day. Maya, the principal at your school forwarded this message to me. It's from the parent of one of your classmates. Maya looked at the message, which read, Ever since Maya's presentation at our school, my daughter has been so much more confident and aware of her surroundings. Yesterday, when a stranger approached her at the playground and tried to get her to come with him, she remembered Maya's advice about making noise and getting to a safe adult. She ran to the nearest parent and asked for help. The stranger left immediately. I truly believe Maya's safety lessons may have prevented something terrible from happening to my child. Maya felt a chill run down her spine as she read the message. The idea that her safety presentation had actually helped protect one of her classmates from a dangerous situation was both amazing and sobering. See, Maya, Dwayne said gently. This is why your work is so important. You're not just telling stories or giving presentations. You're actually helping to keep children safe in real, practical ways. Maya nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility but also feeling proud of the difference she was making. She thought about the little girl at the playground who had remembered her safety advice and used it to protect herself from a stranger who had bad intentions. As the afternoon continued, Maya and her family discussed the various opportunities that were being presented to her through the Safe Kids Foundation. There were requests for her to speak at conferences for parents and teachers, invitations to appear on television programs about child safety, and even a publisher who wanted to work with her to create a children's book about personal safety. Maya realized that her life had taken a completely unexpected direction since that day at the park. 6 months ago, she had been just a regular 8-year-old girl who loved art class and drawing pictures of her family. Now she was someone who traveled to different schools and communities, teaching other children how to stay safe and protect themselves. But the most important thing Maya had learned was that even when something scary happens, it doesn't have to define your whole life in a negative way. She had taken her frightening experience and found a way to transform it into something positive that helped other people. As Dwayne and John prepared to leave that evening, Maya made her decision about the international expansion of the Safe Kids Foundation. "I want to do it," she announced to everyone in the room. "I want to help kids in other countries learn about staying safe too. It sounds like a big adventure, and I think it could help a lot of children." Her parents exchanged proud smiles, and Dwayne and John both gave Maya encouraging hugs. "We'll start planning everything very carefully," John assured her. "And we'll make sure it's always fun and never feels like too much work." As Maya got ready for bed that night, she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror and thought about how much had changed in just 6 months. She was still the same girl who loved art and drawing and spending time with her family, but she was also someone who had found her voice and learned to use it to help others. Maya brushed her teeth and smiled at her reflection, excited about all the adventures and opportunities that lay ahead in her new role as a safety advocate for children around the world.